Digitel is one of the leading companies helping associations leverage their content through event live streaming, webinars, and knowledge distribution. Take advantage of their 32 years of streaming success in generating revenue for their clients than any other company, hands down. For more information on Digitel, go to digitelinc.com.
Are you a follower? Okay, so we're gonna be
Welcome to GatherGeeks, a podcast by BizBash, the place where people passionate about meetings and events come together. Here are your hosts, BizBash CEO David Adler and Executive Editor Beth Kormanik.
Hi, David.
Hey, Beth, how are you doing today?
Terrific. Looking forward to sharing this content with everyone today. We are going to hear from Sharon Sacks, who is president and founder of Sachs Productions in Los Angeles. She coordinates huge events like the Entertainment Industry Foundation's Revlon Run Walk for Women. That's a 60,000 person event, to truly A-list events on behalf of former presidents, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and former Vice President Al Gore, and people we know by just one name, Madonna, Denzel, J-Lo, for weddings, social events, and corporate events. You got to sit down with Sharon at BizBash's Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Los Angeles recently, where Sharon was among the honorees.
Yeah, it's so interesting. They're not used to being on that side of the table, the object of people's curiosity. They're used to serving these big name clients with what they have perceived to be big egos, but not necessarily after you talk to them.
Right. And planners, especially working at this level, are always juggling so much and maybe don't have the time to sit down and reflect. So we gave Sharon that opportunity in your conversation with her.
Yeah, the reflections are really interesting to watch. They really draw on their inner inspiration when you ask them, because no one ever asks them these questions.
Right. It's just chug ahead, and on to the next one. So I think it's going to be really interesting for our listeners to hear some reflections from somebody executing at the highest levels.
The highest quality. I mean, she demands the highest quality of all her vendors, of the clients want the highest quality from her. And it's really nice to be in that orbit.
Absolutely. So let's take a listen.
What was your what was the thing that sort of made you want to be this amazing event planner or social planner? I don't even know what you call what you do.
I do it all.
Yeah. Well, what do you call what you do?
How
do you describe you?
I'm an event planner. I work a lot with celebrities.
Right.
I work a lot with corporations. And I think what I do is create dreams, whether it's with the CEO of a corporation who wants his shareholders meeting to be different, or it's for that girl who's dreamt of walking down that aisle forever and ever. It's so special to be in a creative force and to be able to work with other people that feel the same way and are so committed. If I had to tell anyone who enters this industry, when I entered it, there was no industry, and it wasn't called events.
What was it called?
I don't know. You want to throw me a party?
A party, yeah.
Or you're doing this or doing that. I was very fortunate. I started off doing very grand events, and I got to be... I went downtown and looked for linen and had people make them for me because I wanted the room to look different. All that was available were clear or white tents, and flowers were the thing that sort of set you apart from anyone else.
What you have is an unbelievable sense of taste.
Thank you.
I mean, that's what people want. They don't trust their own taste. They trust your taste. How did that happen? Was it innate?
It's innate.
And did it happen when you were a kid?
I think for me, it was always about, in Canada on Sundays, people would come by the house and visit, and, you'd always set your dining room table up, and they didn't have to call, hey, what are you doing? Can I come by? People just would drop by. And I loved setting the table for my mom. And even my girlfriend said to me, she remembers when I was like 9 years old and my mother was setting the table, how I would set the silverware out and made everything so pretty. And I love beauty. And beauty doesn't have to be expensive. Beauty just has to be something soft to my eye.
Was your mom your mentor on this, or how did you get that?
I don't know.
How did you get that?
My mom had great taste.
Yeah.
My mother had great taste.
Uh-huh.
And, my niece is coming today, and when you see her, you'll understand. We all understand. And I don't know. I think it's just something that God blessed me with.
Because sometimes when we have talent, we don't realize that we have the talent, and we think it's so easy.
Right.
But
And
other
I think
people don't.
I think God blessed me with it and allowed me, when we started, there wasn't mass. There was a pyramid. And the top of the pyramid were the people that could really, created the new things. And it was the most expensive because it wasn't done yet. And then there was the middle, and then it became mass. And so I always was at the top of the pyramid. And I'm very lucky because I had clients that.
But there's a lot of pressure to always be reinventing, right? No? Or is
fun.
there? No, but there's still pressure, right? But you are reinventing, right? You're constantly
reinventing.
Creating art.
Yeah, I want my clients to know whatever I'm doing for them.
Yeah.
And it's not that it had been done and, give me that party or that party. Mm-mm. And it doesn't mean it's more money.
Right.
It just means it's a little bit more time, and I'm committed, and my company's committed.
How do you control that? How do you keep your time so that do you keep a certain number of events a year, or how do you?
I'm very limited with my events.
Yeah. So that
right.
You're, all of you is dedicated to that.
Right.
As opposed to
I don't do
factory.
I don't do 10 events a month or anything. I won't do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I'm smarter than anyone else.
Right.
I mean, if I would have been smarter when I opened up my company, I was the beginning of this multi-billion-dollar industry. But I chose to keep it in its box, and that's what I did.
Do you find that when you do events for your either celebrities or corporations, that you're their lifetime person?
Yes.
That's really what happens? That's why you open the door in one thing. And
I've done so many multitude of events for clients, from baby showers to their 5th birthday, to their sweet 16, to their wedding, to their baby showers. I've been in their life forever.
Yeah. And you've seen generations.
Yes. And they know they can depend on us.
Yeah. So they call you, you just keep watching the birthdays, they're going to get a call.
Right.
And it is a special relationship, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it even
I'm
happens.
very lucky.
Yeah. You deal with a lot of celebrities. How do you keep them in check and keep them real during the process?
They are real.
Do you shop for your clients?
No.
Or do you?
No, it's by word of mouth.
Right. No. Shop. Do you not shop for them, but do you choose them in a sense?
Yes.
Like, you will not take a client that that you've seen the warning signs probably.
I would like to say that I've not had any issues with celebrities. Well, maybe one, but I've not. And I think there's people have a whole different impression that's not really correct. Because when a person comes to me and is going to be a bride, they become a celebrity on that day because they become the center of attention. When my celebrities come to me and they're going to be a bride, they're really tapping into their emotions. And it's the most beautiful thing to see.
I guess you're right, because they become more real that moment.
That's right.
Because they already have the celebrity piece. That's not their moment.
Right. They're tapping into not, people are paying attention to me, but I'm a bride.
And so you said you make dreams. You create dreams.
I create dreams.
How do you articulate that to the potential bride? How do you sort of pull it out of them to understand their dream? Right? You're not making your own dreams, you're making their dreams. So you have to figure out, how do you read them? What is your sort of process?
When I visit a client in their home, I can see the china they use.
Oh, you look around.
It triggers.
Yeah.
It helps me. It's not about, gee, yes, I want a wedding in the forest and this and that. Those are details, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when they say to me, I want something so unique, and I remember saying to this bride, I said, Tom Ford just had a fashion show, and his, the petals of roses were so deep. I said, I would really love to do that for you. in the forest when you go down the aisle. And she loved that idea. And then we just shot off from there.
And it worked.
It was a Martha Stewart. It was breathtaking.
Really? Describing it even on the radio like
it
this.
It was in the redwoods.
Oh, my God.
It was in the redwoods. The trees were 800 years old.
Are there one or two that stick out in your mind as the top of the heap in terms of what you've done, you're proudest of? Or are they all projects and it's all artwork?
They're all art.
Yeah.
And each one becomes different because the relationships. And yeah, it's the relationships which are so special, and I don't think the first one I ever did, I loved.
Really?
I loved.
And how did that happen? How did you?
That was my mentor.
That was your mentor.
And he had a wedding that had a full orchestra for the wedding ceremony, 60 violins for cocktails, 4 different entertainment groups for dinner. It was unlimited.
Really?
I had a tent on the tennis court that sat 100 musicians.
Wow. In weddings, you have the bride and the groom and you have the family. But I'm finding that it's the people that are sitting at the tables that are really where the action happens, because they're having these conversations that change their lives because of what they're visualizing. Are you designing for the whole guest experience?
The whole guest experience.
So the bride, you have to make sure that the bride doesn't stick to just me.
That's right. It's the whole guest experience. And it's about the smell, the sounds. We tap into all the senses.
All the senses. Do you design for the senses, or
I design for the senses?
Is that kind of part of your sort of secret sauce that you sort of check?
It is my secret sauce.
It is. And so you have to make sure that's your sort of mini checklist.
Right. When you hear something, when you hear and see and smell is important, but it's the sound and it's the visual and it's the scent.
That really does.
It's so important. Music, beauty, lighting. Lighting is like, wow, it says it all. Well, it's the makeup for anything.
Lighting is one of the most undervalued assets.
It's the most important thing.
It's the most important. And then I had a podcast with Bentley Meeker. I don't know, he's in New York. He's saying LED, don't go near it. He thinks that it's terrible for your skin. It looks bad.
It depends.
I don't know what you're feeling.
It depends where he's putting the LEDs.
Yes. But he's very much, a geeky thing about lighting.
Yeah, so. I'm very into lighting.
The lighting actually changes everything.
Well, it's, you decorate a room, your flowers are there, everything is there. When the sun sets and the lighting and the candlelight, it's magic.
Do you have sort of a pacing theory?
Yes.
What is your pacing theory? Like there's rules that you have.
Right. Well, my rules are that my LEDs are great, but I don't want them to look like LEDs.
Right.
And I don't use them overhead. They're only if I want them on the wall.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see lines. I want to see grand.
Right. But the pacing for the audience, the guest experience.
Well, yeah, it's when you walk in. Yeah. Well, the true pacing is as the night progresses, right?
Yes.
It's more than just lighting and food and everything. It's the sound, the music, what's going to happen that whole night.
So the last question I want to ask is, what advice would you give to the 21-year-old you? If you had to do it all over again.
I would do exactly what I did. Go for your dream. Don't let anything stop you. You can't make a mistake. All you can do is think of it as a learning experience. And it's what makes you better than anyone else in the industry. I have lived my life knowing I love what I do. Can it get any better than that?
So, Beth, what's going on at BizBash?
BizBash is coming to Florida for BizBash Live Florida. It is our major event in that region of the country. It will take place on May 4th in Fort Lauderdale, and we'd invite everybody to come join us. It's people from all over South Florida, the state of Florida, and even the Southeast and beyond. So we draw a lot of people to our amazing education forums that we're so looking forward to a bustling exhibit hall. So again, that takes place May 4th, and you can sign up for that at bizbash.com/events.
And I hear we're having our first session in all Spanish.
That's right. We are responding to the needs of the market down there and kind of testing the market to see if this is something that people respond to. It is a workshop on embracing the wows and avoiding the oops, and will be presented in English, and then the exact same session will be presented in Spanish.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Every time I go down, I see people from all around South America coming because they're so interested in what's going on in the U.S.
Exactly. And we all know Miami is such a melting pot of cultures.
The capital of South America.
Right. So we're looking forward to welcoming everyone there May 4th.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what you're hearing, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. We can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Player FM, Google Play, and Pocket Cast. Be sure to leave us a rating and review. It helps others discover the GatherGeeks podcast. We'd also love to hear from you. You can leave feedback on Twitter at GatherGeeks or leave us an email, gathergeeks@bizbash.com. We hope you'll join us again for the next episode of GatherGeeks. Until then, gather on. If you are looking for a state-of-the-art learning management system, take a look at Digitel's newest platform, Opus DX. Opus DX offers the robust platform for event organizers and associations to manage content. To learn more and schedule a demo, email them at contactus@digitelinc.com. That's contact us at digitellinc.com.